Welcome everybody, Red Arrow 23 here, time for another edition to the Boom Beach Playbook. Today we're going to be doing the right shield on Humblepie. Let's boom this beach! Okay, so we've got two touch. He's going to show us how it's done. Let's have a quick look at the attack that we're going to be breaking down today. So as you can see, a fairly packed out Humblepie today. Not a 300, but it's definitely got a few buildings around. So it looks like he's going to be moving these Zookas up, tagging some stuff, doing some shocking. I like it. And getting those rocket launchers down. And then he's moving down. Dropping grenadiers. Has to re-flare. If that first flare was in the right position, that would have been good. But it's all gravy. And we're just clearing some stuff out, split it up a little bit, heading into this right corner and starting to work on these shields once we get through to them. Get in that sweet spot. Bit of Zooka cannon fodder, it's always fun on the boom cannon. And their rocket launcher starting to come into range. But great little open there. Flares up because he's running out of time. And the heavies are clearing out these mines. Wasn't supposed to rhyme, but it did. And forgot the reflare, but that's okay. No worries. Two touch, still a beast hit. So let's take a look, break it down a little bit. So Humblepie. This is obviously only relevant for when we're trying to take out all the shield generators. Someone's already taken out the left shield generators, but that hit doesn't have to be first. It's usually second or third even. You usually do the right shields first. I don't know why, it just kind of is. And getting these rocket launchers obviously helps a lot. So there's not always rocket launchers here, but usually there will be. Sometimes there's not always 4, it might be like 2 and some machine guns, whatever. The important thing is, so see, he's actually got 4 minutes on this hit. So you might not get all the way through it. You might, I don't suggest doing your heavy mine clearing at the beginning, although it might seem like a good idea. You're going to have to use a lot more smoke because of this rocket launcher. But you definitely could do it, and we'll get into how that's done in a bit. So first things first, he's going to be dropping all of his Zookas. I would actually suggest doing all of his mine clearing and tagging first, but that's all good. He's going to do it on the walk. I guess that kind of makes more sense that he did it on the walk because he was running out of time. So it's actually good thinking. So he's going to be flaring up. We are going to be in the dead zone of the 2 front rockets, so we can just keep that in mind. Don't know why we needed the reflare. Maybe he wanted to be a bit closer. And then he's tagged the rear rocket launchers. I think he might have meant to tag both, because you obviously want all your Zookas to be focusing on just the rocket launchers. You don't want any of them firing at the boom cannons or anything like that. You see that they took out those 3, and then he's flared onto the last one. You can choose to, you obviously have to work out your damage versus the health on the rocket launchers. It'll be situational dependent depending on how much you boost, and the health of the defenses, all of those sorts of things. If you take more boats of Zookas, you can probably one-shot each one, and you would only need, and if you had them all tagged, they're not going to go looking for any other defenses, so all of those shots are just going to one-shot each rocket launcher. That's sort of like ballpark 5 boats would probably work. But definitely check that out. Make sure that that's right, because if you get just under the damage required, then it's not going to work. But it's quite easy just to do 2 shocks. You might have machine guns on the side. They obviously have a bit of a bigger range, so you might have to drop 2 shocks. Depends on where you have to sit, and just obviously check all your ranges. So you could do it in 1 round of shocks. You might be able to do it in. Otherwise, you can do it in 2. Once that's complete, you can flare down. I suggest flaring right down into the bottom, right at the beach, I believe. And the main thing that we want to do here is we want our Zookas to be in front of the power cells before we drop, or that they're going to be there before the grenadiers are going to start throwing their grenades. Last thing we want to do is have grenadiers throwing onto the power cells as the Zookas are still coming back through. You can also suicide your Zookas, just let them go. Don't worry about that extra flare, but they do sort of help out quite a lot on the right hand side. The only reason we are taking out these cells right now is because we don't want them in the way. So if this was all clear, we could flare into this corner, this first corner here, and we can start going straight up into those machine guns and cannons. However, if we did that right now, all of our Grens would fire back onto the power cells, probably killing each other, and the Zookas. So always be very cognizant of flaring in tight areas with Grens, because they're just going to target the closest thing, and if there's a grenadier there, it's going to damage it. So here we go. Now that we're moving up into the spot, we obviously want to shock the machine gun. If it was just cannons, we wouldn't need to do that. The Zookas are now here purely as a bonus. We only really wanted them for the rocket launchers. The grenadiers are the ones that we actually want in this position, but they are providing a lot of A, firepower, and B, cannon fodder for the boom cannon. We do have rocket launcher sneaking into range here. This is sort of the sweet spot around about where this the line that the Zookas, that the grenadiers are standing on, that meets the wall, right up against that wall. So the grenadiers aren't spending too much time on the flamethrowers, but they're out of range of the boom cannon, because they should be able to free snipe these shields, and you can just sit there all day. You might have to do this in 2 attacks or whatever, but the position of the Grens is still going to be exactly the same. You want to get them right up against that wall. You can, however, let them just take out the flamethrowers like we are right now, and the Zookas are getting in range of the rocket launchers. That's fine, and you'll see that he's just going to be working on everything. The shields are down to a reasonable level that we can even get them down in someone else's attack. They can just drop like one boat of Grens, go over there, sit there for like a minute or so, however long it's going to take. Probably longer actually. Might need more boats. So you can see that he's flared up. The reason he's done this is he's only got 40 seconds left, and he knows that he needs to get the mines clear for the next attacker. So even though the shields aren't down, he could have chosen between getting the shields down or clearing all the mines, and I think clearing all the mines was probably the best idea. So now what we're going to talk about is clearing out these mines. In the first hit, I believe PA used some critters to sort out the mines around this junction. The junction mines are going to be the biggest issue. We're going to use heavies to clear the majority of all these mines. I believe they're all level 21. And the way that we're going to deal with them is we're going to flare first. So flare right up to the top, anywhere up there, in line with those mines. And then we're going to drop our heavies. The reason we drop our heavies after we flare is because we want all of our heavies to be coming out off the boat like this. If we dropped them and let them gather, then flare up, all of the heavies are going to take damage from every single mine. So they're all going to die. So you'll see that the front heavy is going to take all of the damage from the first few mines and the second heavy. And then once the front heavy dies, the next one in line is going to start taking more damage. So you can see that we already cleared a bunch of mines, and we still got four heavies alive. Around about this position here, anywhere between the where the flamethrowers are, they are sometimes mortars. Anywhere around this position is usually where the flare runs out. So just keep that in mind. Two Dutch did forget to reflare. Obviously you want to keep those smokes active so that the heavies aren't going to get fired at by lasers and flamethrowers and everything else. But you need that flare to head up. I think he might have been fixated on trying to bart out these shield generators. But that's all good. So let's have one more look at the whole hit in its entirety. It was all of the time used by Two Touch, even though his heavies stood still. So we want to clear out these mines, tag up all these rocket launchers. We don't want to be spending any time shooting at boom cannons or flamethrowers, because they would be in Zooka range. And then we're just going to flare up into the dead zone of the 2 rocket launchers. Only really need 1 flare there. Not sure why he had 2. And we can tag once we're there if we need to. 1 shock will probably do us. Have a look around, you might need more than 1, but 1 round of shocks will do if you have enough damage to 1 shot. Otherwise it will be 2 shocks if you are 2-shotting everything. So here we go, we're going to move down now. Probably flare down into the right hand corner, and once we are clear of the power cells, we can drop those grenadiers. We don't want to be doing any suicidal moves, and we're going to clear out enough power cells that we can get into this right corner without targeting ourselves, which is perfect. The Zookas are going to add a little bit of firepower. He's using 3 boats of Zookas, then 4 boats of grenadiers, and then 1 boat of heavies for the mine clearing. Just want to clear out these mines, move over to the right. Don't want to take too many cells just in case they need them for the core rush. That's the main reason that I was trying to say that we really want to leave them. And then we're just going to be taking out all these defenses. Not too worried about the flamethrowers. They're not really going to come back into play again. And this is our sweet spot where the line meets the wall. Get that flare right up against. And we can be out of range of that boom cannon and just free snipe the shields. Zooka's obviously going to get tagged. A couple of Grens might get out of line, but that's okay. We can manage that. And then when you have about 40, I think he was pretty much bang on. So if you have 40 seconds, that's about how long it's going to take for the heavies to get from the front all the way up to the back. Noting that in this attack, so 45 seconds when he sent the flare, and then he's going to drop the heavy, so they're all spread out. Take out all of those mines without taking all that damage together. Remember that you're not going to be able to clear all of these mines, so if you do have spare GBE, you might want to spend it on for those mines. For example, I'd definitely be wanting to clear those. This one's a bit borderline, that one I want to take out, so it just sort of depends, because someone's going to have to go up for these rear shields. That's the reason we're clearing these mines. You could clear on the left or the right side of the core for the Zooka path all the way up to the top for that hit. But usually, like 99 times out of 100, the left spot is less shocks. So count it out beforehand, and we can do that. Sometimes there are a lot of boom mines instead of regular mines. If that is the case, then you can use riflemen, and it might work. It probably will work better. If there's shock mines, you probably want to just get rid of them with art, really. If this doesn't go completely smoothly, you might want to be able to use a hero later on for the same thing. So like say you got rid of 50 or more like 70% of the mines, you can take a lot with just the hero if you don't want to use a whole boat, or you can do another run with heavies. There's loads of ideas that I've just given you there. Obviously the main idea of this attack is to get those front right shields down, and that's very close to being down. 1 boat of grenadiers will be able to take that out no problem, or potentially even just a little bit of Bart. Yeah, kind of just depends on what you guys are doing. So that's going to do it for the Humblepie right shield hit. Give us a comment down below if you guys do it any differently. Give us a thumbs up and like the video, thumbs down if you didn't, and subscribe for more Boom Beach.